Okay, we're in section 11. It's the section on parabolas and circles. The hope again is that you've listened to what we presented to you in lecture, you followed the examples, and that you studied and understood that material well enough to start attempting problems on your own. The first set of problems you're going to do is supplementals, and after you complete those supplementals, you're going to go on to do the web assign. And just to review with you what we've done over here, we certainly reintroduced circles to you, very similar to what you've done in Math 100, all right? It's just a collection of points at equal distance from a center point, all right? Pretty simple stuff. We went through examples. Again, in the supplemental exercises, we'll just reinforce the material that you need to understand. Then we got to parabola. Certainly, did you do parabola Math 100? You did. And the key features in Math 100 were you definitely did what's called the vertex. You definitely did x-intercepts. You definitely did y-intercept. And you definitely did an axis symmetry. Here we're describing it, though, as a set of points that have a certain characteristic, and we derived the formula for that, right? And hopefully you understood that. And I'm not going to say memorize it, but you understood it, and certainly reinforce what you need to know when you take exams. All right, so we went through that, and those tool forms are over here. All right, we went through examples. Again, we have accurate pictures drawn for you for a reason. We would like you to look at those and understand how they relate to the text, what we've done in class. Then we went through the examples in class. Every example has been done, and hopefully you've understood the material, and again, reinforce what you need to know from this section. All right, now what are we doing now? We're getting to the supplemental stuff, the stuff that you're supposed to do on your own, homework, right? You do it outside classroom, right? I would also say, probably reading a book really would be a characteristic of becoming educated, and we would like you also to read, all right? Bottom line is we pretty much present the basic structure, what you need to know, at least enough to get through the course, and you can do quite well. Right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch to the whiteboard now, and give me a second. Okay, we're there. And I'm going to put a new whiteboard up for you. And again, we're in section 11 of the notes. Section 11. And it's really on the circles and parabolas. So I'm going to say it's the beginning part of the conic sections. And again, we're doing circles and we're doing parabolas, all right? So, the bottom line is, hopefully you understood again what was presented. And again, if you're questioning where the notes are, they should be in your hand. And we're in section 11. We're in the homework of section 11. We'll do problem number 1. Certainly, I'll read it to you. And as I'm reading to you, I notice they give me a graph. The graph that they're giving me is figure. And again, you need the notes in front of you. It's figure 95. All right. So looking at that, I'm looking at the graph. What do they want me to do? One is to look at the graph. The other thing is I want to do is, find the equation of the circle. Well, I know what they look like. The equation of the circle is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. With the understanding that the r is the radius and hk is the center. Well, I'm looking at the picture, so I'm going to look at it. And again, I'm assuming the picture is readable. At least I hope it is. You can always blow these things up if you want. But it looks like the center to me. I'll write this over here for you. Just looking at the picture, it looks like the center is at 1 minus 1. Now, what does it mean? It means h is 1 and r is, I'm sorry, I misspoke there. I was thinking forward. H is 1 and the k is minus 1. Again, I'm looking at the picture. I noticed I got a radius drawn over there, but it's sort of like not the radius I want drawn, but that doesn't matter. They have 4 more points on it. So what am I doing? I'm looking at how far are those 4 points from the center. And I'm looking at it by inspection. I'm going to say the r is 2. All right, I'm going to write this down now. It's going to be x minus h is 1, squared plus y minus k. Well, minus k, If k is -1, would be +1 equals r squared, which is 4. This is an acceptable answer. I want to point out I do want to expand it. X squared minus 2x plus 1 plus y squared plus 2y plus 1 equals 4. I'm going to collect the squares together, x squared plus y squared, and then I got minus 2x plus 2y. So I got squares, linear terms. I got a constant term over here. What's that going to be? We're looking at it. 1 plus 1 is 2, but I'll take 4 from both sides. So that'll be minus 2. There's certainly a great deal of variation how you can write these things down. Let's put 2 boxes down. I'm going to go to my answer key. I'm going to look at the answer key and see if those answers are listed. I'm seeing this. I'm seeing this. I'm seeing this. And I'm also seeing this one of your x squared plus y squared minus 2x plus 2y minus 2 equals 0. I feel good about that. I'm going to move on to problem number 2. Fairly simple questions. Typically, they will be if you've understood what we presented to you. Now, number 2 says find the center and radius of the circle. This equation is, well, it's equation x squared plus y squared minus 6x plus 6y plus 9 equals 0. Well, I got to get into the standard form. So I'm a little too fast for that. I shouldn't do that. I'm going to collect the x together. That's going to be x squared minus 6x. I'm going to collect the y's together. That's y squared plus 6y. And put the constant inside, which would be minus 9. Complete the square. What do I mean by that? Half of that number, which would be minus 3. When you square it, you get plus 9. I'm going to add 9 to both sides. What am I going to do over here? Complete the square. Half of 6 is 3. When you square it, you get 9. So I'm going to add 9 to both sides. And what do you get here? It's a perfect square. X minus 3 squared plus y plus 3 squared equals 9. So I'm ready to write down the center. The center is a point. The point is 3 minus 3. I'm ready to write the radius down. Again, we'll look at the key later. And the radius is what number squared gives you 9? 3. 3 isn't a problem. Get my red ink out. Look at the answer where they say radius is 3. The center is 3 minus 3. All right, let's do number 2. I'm sorry, number 3. Number 3 says find the vertex axis symmetry of the parabola whose equation is yada, yada, yada. Let's write this over here. So what do you get? Y minus 3 squared equals 16x plus 2. All right, so I'm going to kind of remind you that, we had certain forms, and this is in the proper form, all right? We had certain forms to write down. You understand looking at it, I could certainly write the vertex down. What's the vertex going to be? Minus 2 comma 3. All right. Again, that's the vertex. All right. Now, I'm going to do other things about the problem. And certainly, what are you going to do about this? And I certainly would like to get the axis symmetry. And what I'm going to claim over here is I would like to draw a picture of it first. No, they don't have to draw a picture. I just want to emphasize that picture may help you if you're struggling with this. So let's say the vertex minus 2 and then 3 out. Okay. So the question is, what kind of parabola is this? Well, if you look at it, it's in that form, y squared form. So someone says y squared form, it's going to be one of 2 pictures, right? It's either going to be like, let me show you getting the right ink over here, like this or like this. I want to point out that 16 is 4p. And what's p? P is 4. P is a positive number. So it's going to be this picture over here. So I'm just going to, I'm not going to say a perfect picture, but something like this over here, all right? Parabola. And so did they ask to draw it? No, but this might help you put the axis of symmetry in. This is the axis of symmetry. And what is the axis of symmetry? It's y equals 3. I put that down in answer in black. So the axis symmetry, we'll look at the key later, is y equals 3. Okay, let's take a look at the answer key, make sure they wrote that down, and if they didn't, we'd have to resolve why we made a mistake. So they got the axis symmetry, y equals 3, and they got the vertex down. That's good news. All right, let's go to number 4. And I'll read it to you. And number 4 says, find the equation of the parabola given the graph. And we're looking at figure. Again, you need the notes. The notes are given to you for free. And you should always have them in your possession when you're either attending the lecture or you're watching the videos off schedule. Now, certainly, if you're doing homework, you should have the lecture notes in front of you as well. Okay, so let's find the equation of the parabola. I'm looking at it, and they definitely give me a lot of information in the problem. One is they definitely give me a vertex. And what's the vertex over here? Just looking at it, and again, it's by inspection. I'm looking at the picture. Appears to be x is 3, and the y is minus 2. They also give me an axis symmetry. No, they're not asking me to write it down, but I want to make sure you know that's given to you. What's the axis symmetry? It looks like y equals minus 2. They're also giving me a directrix. And looking at it, the directrix looks like, directrix looks like x equals 1. And they also give me a focus. And what's the focus going to be? Well, looking at it, it looks like 5, comma, minus 2. So then the question is, what information are you going to get from this? You're going to get the p. Now, I want to point out, looking at the picture, it looks like this. So I know the p is a positive number. All right. So looking at the picture, what's the p going to be? Well, I'm looking at it looks like 2. I'll put that down. All right. So let's write this down. What's it going to be? Y minus a minus 2, which is plus 2, squared equals 4p, p is 2, times x minus 3. Let me just clean up a little bit. I'll put a box on it, and I will look at the key. I'm sorry, that's 16. That's crazy. It's 8, right? 4 times 2 is 8. If you want to expand that, you can. Not essential. I want to get my little red pen out and look at it. And they have this, y plus 2 squared. By the way, I noticed I wrote this down instead, but 4 times 2, pretty simple, is just the number 8. And I do get the x minus 3. All right, let's keep going. See if I can do number 5 now. Relatively simple. And again, we're studying 2 conic sections in this section, circles and parabolas. And we're basically discussing the nature of the points on those curves. All right, so number 5 says show that this equation, I'll write it down for you, is the equation of a parabola. So I got to get in standard form. So to show it's a parabola, so it's y squared plus 2y equals 8x, right? I'm getting y's on one side, x on the other side, minus 9. All right, let's keep going. I need to complete the square, y squared plus 2y. I want to put out what I mean by that. We're completing a square on this side over here, which means I'm taking half of the 2, which is 1, squaring it, which is 1, and adding 1 to both sides. Things are looking pretty good. On the left side, I get y plus 1 squared. On the right side, what do I get? Well, let me put it over here. It's 8x minus 8. So it's going to be 8 times x minus 1. So this is definitely an equation of a parabola. All right. Now, again, just reading it to you, they didn't ask, me to do anything else besides getting standard form. But you could write down a lot of different things for this thing. The vertex now, the p, how it opens, yada, yada, yada. Let's see if we got the right answer, though. And I'm looking at it. I'm seeing that. Yep, I'm seeing both sides. All right, let's go to number 6. Again, these should be relatively simple questions. We're building on a skill set that you learn in Math 100. There are more details now. So number 6 says, find the focus, directrix, vertex, axis symmetry for the parabola whose equation is. Let's write this down. Its equation is going to be y plus 1 squared equals 8x minus 1. All right, so I'm going to write the vertex down. It's probably the easiest thing for me to do. What's the vertex going to be? Well, looking at it, the x number would be 1 and the y number is -1. All right. I'm going to write down the p here. And the p, I know that, 8 equals 4p. So that means p must be 2. All right. So I'm going to kind of draw a picture now. And someone says, do I need to draw a picture? Maybe not, but let's see if we can do it. So 1 minus 1, right? So 1 minus 1. I got a point here. That's that point. And the p is going to be 2. Now someone says, how does this parabola open? It's going to open like this. The p is positive. Okay. So I know I have to go in 2 units from that point to get the focus. All right, let me do that. And I'll put this on, I'm going to go 2 units in, and the focus would be here. And I got to go 2 units away from that, the other direction. Let me do that. And put down this thing over here. I'm going to write this over here. Directrix. And this is going to be the focus over here. We'll put boxes on these later, by the way. And I'm going to draw my picture. And by the way, I'm not saying it's a good picture. I just want to get an idea that you have some idea that it looks like this over here. All right. So I'm going to start writing down answers now. And someone says, I don't even remember the question is. You read it again. It's in front of you. So it says, find the focus. Well, I'm going to write the focus down now. The focus is going to be a point. And what's that point? Well, look at my picture. I'm looking at it. It's 3 minus 1. We'll check it later. It says find the focus, the directrix. Well, what's that going to be? I'm looking at the picture. The directrix is an equation, x equals -1. Again, we'll look at the key later. What's the vertex? Well, I got that written over here. And the axis symmetry, I didn't put that down yet. And I'm going to put out the axis symmetry. Axis symmetry looks like, let's put this over here like this. So what's the AOS? It's y equals -1. Okay. Let me, it does say graph it. I did graph it. And by the way, the graph on the piece of paper you're given, the notes, is much better than the graph I'm giving you over here, but it's sufficient. All right. So let's see how we did. All right. Did we get the vertex right? 1 minus 1. Yes. Did we get the directrix? It says x equals -1. Got that right. Okay. Did we get, they put the p as 2 down. I guess I put that down, but they didn't ask for it. What's the focus? 3 minus 1. Got that right. Axis symmetry, y equals -1. Got that right. And I'm looking at my graph. The graph is relatively the same graph they've given me there. Again, the machine graph is much better than mine, and it should be. All right, let's take a look at number 7. Find the equation of the parabola. And they give me a focus. Is 3, 4. And it says the directrix is the y-axis. And what does that mean? X equals 0. Well, again, I'm going to draw a picture. Not that you have to, but I want to draw a picture to indicate a picture may help you answer the question. If it doesn't, don't draw a picture. So let me put that in the directrix over here. X equals 0. And the focus is at 3, 4. All right, so 3, 4. Where's that going to be? Let's see. 1, 2, 3. And then I go 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So now the question is, I know where the focus is. My question is, where's the vertex going to be? It's got to be the dead center between the directrix and that focus. So what's a dead center? Well, I'm kind of looking at it, and dead center would be, this is 3 units here, right? Between those two. So the dead center would be 1.5. So it's right over here. I'll write that down for you. All right. So I'm going to put the vertex down now. The vertex is going to be dead center. So that's 3 over 2, comma. Well, what's the y coordinate there? 4. That's not so bad. All right. And then the question comes is, what's the p? Well, if you look at this thing, the P has to be positive. That's going to, my graph's going to look like that over there. Has to be positive. All right. So the question is, what's the distance between the vertex and the focus, or the vertex and the directrix? 3/2. Write that down for you. So I think I'm ready to write down what's going to be y minus 4 squared 4 times p x minus 3/2. I'm going to clean up a little tiny bit, and then I'll put a box on it, and then we'll check. What do you get over here? Well, 2 goes into 4 2 times, and 2 times 3 is 6. A box in this. I want to read the question to you again. It says, find the equation of the parabola with the given focus. And I get 3, 4 in its axis as the y-axis. So let's take a look, see if I got it. All right, so they got y minus 4 squared. I see that. And then they write this over here. I know that to be 6. And they write this over here. And notice they did something else. They actually expanded it. I'm going to go through that with you. And that would be y squared minus 8y plus 16. And we get 6x over here minus, well, 2 goes into 6 3 times. And 3 times 3 is 9. All right. So what do they do over there? I guess what they were going to do is they're going to maybe get an x on one side, numbers on the other side. So minus 8y, add 9, 25, right? And that would be 6x. They also wrote this down. Now someone says, is that important for me to write down? Not really. But don't be confused when someone rewrites something. All right. If they rewrite it, they rewrote it. All right. Both answers are listed for you. Let's go to number 8, which will be our last one. And then we'll talk about the sage. What does number 8 say? Find the equation of the parabola. They give me the focus. A lot of students confuse things with, they think that everything is what they want it to be. It's what they tell you is. If they say the focus is minus 4, 3, that's the focus. And then they said directrix is y equals 4. Well, again, what I'm going to do is draw a picture. Again, that'd be an accurate picture. It's just good enough for me. So what's y equals 4 look like? 1, 2, 3, 4. And I put that line in for you. Dash line. Again, y equals 4 is the directrix. Okay. They also gave me the focus, which is minus 4, 3. Let me see if I can do that. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then minus 3, right? 1, I'm sorry, 3. I misspoke there. 4, minus 4, 3. I get negative numbers in my mind. All right. So what's that? That's the focus. All right. So this is the focus. We got this down. We got this down. All right. Now someone says, I wonder what the vertex is. Well, the vertex has to be here. It's the dead center between the directrix and that focus. And I'm looking at it. It doesn't look that bad to me. I'm going to write this over here for you. But the vertex, we'll look at the key later. Well, the x-coordinate is 4. Now, I hope you're not struggling too much with this, and the picture might help you. It looks like, looking at it, it's dead center between, the number 4 and the number 3, and that would be 3.5, right? And 3.5 is 7/2. All right. What's the p? Well, the p is the distance now. Now, before I do anything, I want to look at it. I shouldn't say the p is distance. It's related to the distance. If I were to look at this picture over here, the picture would be a parabola opens downward. So here the p must be a negative number. All right. Now, what's the distance, though, between that focus and the vertex and directrix? It's a half. All right. So what's p? Minus 1/2. All right. All right. Let's see if we can write this down now. What's it going to be? And be very careful there. X minus, right? Something, right? Minus, I'm sorry, I wrote a wrong number over here. That's minus 4 for the vertex. Sorry about that. X minus a minus 4, x plus 4, squared, we'll look at the key later, 4p y minus 7 halves. We're looking at the vertex to do that. Let me clean this up a tiny little bit before I box it. This would be minus 2, y minus 7 halves. Kind of like that form. My suspicion they might multiply it out. Let me go through that with you, and we'll look at the key later. Again, my suspicion they did what they did before, which, get the linear term on one side and this quadratic x squared plus 8x. I'll subtract 7 from both sides. That would make this plus 9 equals minus 2y. All right, that's my suspicion, just like they did the last problem. Someone says, do I need to do that? Not really, but you should know that people can rewrite things. Hopefully not confused when they do rewrite it. Let's take a look at our k. And I want to see if I got this down. I got the x plus 4 squared. I do notice I wrote this down instead of the minus 2, but it's really the same thing, and y minus 7 halves. They also wrote this down, x squared plus 8x plus 9 minus 2y. Okay, we're done with the problem set. It was a short problem set. Really not much to say about that, but I do want to go to the Sage business. I'm going to do another share with you. I go to my terminal. Again, we're not going to test you on the use of Sage. Someone says, why do you go through it? Again, when you move forward, particularly when you go to a four-year institution, you're going to notice that they're using software to solve a large number of problems. And the reason for that is really you're required to use software. You just can't do the problem by hand. All right. It's just not possible. All right. It's just not possible. So you're going to have to start to learn that. Now, I grant that a lot of instructors at Essex College are not going to ask you to do use software. That happens. Transfer notes go say, well, they didn't tell me. They're going to say, too bad. Most students, though, learn software on their own. What's nice, though, you have the opportunity here to learn this software. All right. So, bottom line, I'm launching my Sage server now. I think you're seeing at least I hope you're seeing it. Make sure I'm doing a great screen share here. Yeah, I am. So, one thing, I'm sure you've seen me type in the reset before, and you've paid any attention. You see me do that. What does that do? Kind of clear out the memory space for this Sage instance that I'm running now. And I'm going to, type variables in x, y, and var. It's typical. Our whole prob set had x and y's in it, right? So x and a y. I'm using terminal. For those students who don't want to use a terminal, they can use go to sagemath.org and use CoCalc. It's going to be the same set of commands. Now I'm getting kind of tired. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy paste. All right. So this one, I'll read it to you, and I'll tell you what I think it's saying. You should also try to read code and, try to, understand what it's saying. But what I say is this implicit plot, right? So what's happening over here is a relationship between x and y, but it's not explicitly stated what the relationship is. It's not to say like x equals something or y equals something. And looking at it, I'm looking at it as x squared plus y squared plus 18x minus 4. Whoops, sorry about that. Minus 4y plus 49 equals 0. Remember, the double equal sign means you have an equation. Then they say x is between minus 16 and 3, and y is between minus 5 and 8. Well, if I were looking at that, I would say it looks like it should be a circle. And what am I getting there? Well, if you look at the graph that it's producing, it is a graph of a circle. Some people say, where's the x and y axis? They're not drawn in. Could you force them to be drawn in? Of course. The more you study software, the easier it becomes to refine your graphs. All right. Now, I want to briefly talk about, commercial software. And I want to emphasize to you what's nice about commercial software. It tends to be a lot easier to use. So I'm going to graph this using commercial software now. This is a program called Grapher. And to me, it's one of the better applications for graphing. It's really great. A lot of different things you could do in this. So x squared plus y squared plus 18x. I'm really graphing the same picture, by the way. Minus 4y. Whoops. Plus 49. Hopefully I'm typing this right? Equals 0. All right. Now, suppose I don't even see the picture now. Well, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to zoom out. All right. Now, if I want to, I can zoom into that section of the picture. Let me do that for you. Whoops, let me pull this on the side over here. And I'm going to, zoom in. Whoops, didn't mean to do that. I want to show you what happens, though, when I do this. You notice it no longer looks like a circle? My X and Y scales are different. So what I could do is I could say equalize the axis. Watch what happens. Now it looks like a circle, right? So the X and Y are equal. Now, was it the same circle I've drawn over there? It is, but the X and Y axes are drawn in. And so is a grid. I can change that and customize that quite easily. You can do that in Sage, but it's not as easy as we can do it in professional software. All right, let me go back to the notes. And what do we do with this over here? I'm going to do this one over here, which I'm looking at it, and I'm expecting it to be a parabola. All right. So, whoops, I'm sorry about that. Back to my Sage. Again, implicit plot. Again, that's not explicitly solved for either X or Y. It's implicit that Y is related to X and X related to Y. And again, you should know that relationship now. This is a parabola. All right, let's do that. It's going to launch another graphic primitive, and it gives me this over here. I want to go back to different software, though. And I want to go back to the use of Grapher to do that. All right, and pull this over here. And I'm going to type it in. And what do you get over here? Let's take a look at it. It looks like Y plus 1. Well, sorry about that. I'm not typing what they said. Y plus 1 squared equals, it looks like 8 X minus 1. By the way, the graphs on my note, generally speaking, are constructed using this software. All right, again, I'm looking at it. I kind of see it on the left side. I'm going to just change this around a little bit. Recenter the origin, equalize the axis. And I'm going to start zooming out. And I'm seeing it right over there. Again, if you want, you can zoom into this, into the region that you like. Maybe something like, I'm going to do this over here. I can equalize the axis so it doesn't get, squeezed at all. All right. And I get a good picture of it, a really good picture of it. In the notes, that's the software I'm using. It's really easy to customize using commercial software. Be aware of this, though. I say Grapher. I'm not saying that you have to use Grapher. What I'm claiming is you have to learn software if you are going to move forward in a STEM-related career. The more software that you know, the more coding languages you know, the easier it will you to be transitioned when you get a job. It really will. It'll really pay off in dividends greatly if you learn more and more software. All right, that's about it. See you guys next time.